My truck is atrocious. We've been over this. A lot of my buddies talking trash, calling me out. I mean, and it's bad, I'm not gonna lie. So here's what we're gonna do. It's probably gonna be the first ever 2-camera shoot of a guy cleaning this truck. But I wanted to do a story time, and I don't have a lot of time like everybody else, man. I got 2 pretty much full-time jobs. I do a lot of stuff on the side to turn a dollar. I don't, you know, I never check up. And sometimes I look down, like today, I was riding along and I realized I just keep throwing stuff off my dash. Now I got a piece of PVC pipe on my dash where I've been working on a cooler live well system for my borrowed kayak. And I said enough's enough. So I'm gonna clean the truck up, but I didn't want to not take the time to do a story time, and I don't have time to do both. So without further ado, story time with Shay Baker. Look at this. I mean, that's a box of shotgun. Well, it was a box of shotgun shells, so they're somewhere. Yeah, it's bad. So we're gonna get started on. Oh, making money though. Sweet. We're gonna get started on this first, though. I'm gonna go back here. I ordered some stuff from Rapala. My camera on the dash will probably be dead before I even get up there. But this is how you. I see a lot of unboxing videos. That's how you unbox something in the South. You don't do it pretty. You don't get out there and say, all right, let's lay it all out. Okay, cool. So Rapala, I got some buddies over there at Rapala, BMC, Suffix. It's a big conglomerate of companies. And they send me stuff when I need something. They're good folks, good products, good companies to work with. So I've been needing, and I usually get my dad's stuff too. So I got my dad and I both set of scales. I've used these scales a lot, and these are pretty cheap scales comparatively. Like I caught a big spot on Lake Jordan. I tried to dig up a picture of it in a club tournament a couple years ago, and it weighed like 542 right when I caught it on my hand scales, on these little scales here. And then when I weighed it on the tournament scales, I think it weighed like 543 or 539 or something. It was like within a couple hundredths, and it was 3 or 4 hours later. So anyway, got a few weights. Didn't get a lot of stuff this time. Just got some stuff I needed to get caught up on. These are BMC little tungsten weights. I think that's what all these are too. Just ordered some of the sizes I'm kind of running low on. Good affordable tungsten, so that's that. This is what I'm that's more tungsten. But this is what I'm pretty excited about right here. So Suffix, I use their braid, and I wrote an article for, this came out at ICAST. These are really good pliers too, by the way, and they got a good set of scissors too, but I already got some of them. I wrote an article for Angler at ICAST, and I didn't go to ICAST. I just got some stuff sent to me from different companies, and looked around and just found some different stuff I like. People I do work with, people I don't even work with, just stuff that kind of piqued my interest. If you want to check it out, it's over on angler.com. I'll put a link below, and it's my favorite. I think it was like top 10 things or eye catchers from ICAST or something, you know. Most everybody's just talking about trolling motors. I talk about them a little bit, but I talk about a lot of other stuff too. One thing is this Suffix Advanced Fluorocarbon. Suffix had a fluorocarbon come out a few years ago. I use their braid, like I said, it's 832. I use it in all my videos. I don't use stuff unless I got confidence in it, and it's just not it's not worth using something if you can get it for cheaper or free if it's going to fail on you. So I can work with a lot of companies. I choose to work with the ones that got good products, and I don't really ask for a lot out of them except for just some products, and they don't ask for a lot out of me. But this right here is Suffix Advanced Fluorocarbon. I got a sample little spool of it when it first came out. I was really impressed with it, you know, to start with, but I haven't really been able to put it on a lot of reels, a lot of different sizes, a lot of different techniques. I got some 12, 14, and 17 right there. 1,200 yards each. I'm about to load up everything I got that's got fluorocarbon on it, and I'm going to really put this through the ringer for about a month, and then let everybody know. Because I mean, you can put line on for a couple of weeks or a week or whatever, and go 2 or 3 times, and you don't know really what it's going to do over time. And even a month. I mean, I'll leave fluorocarbon on a reel for 6 or 8 months, you know. So it's going to be interesting to see how this stuff does. But they had a fluorocarbon come out earlier, and it was a little bit more affordable than this, and because of that, I mean, it wasn't as well built of a line, and I just didn't really have confidence in it for as much tournament fishing and all as I do. So I used it just a little bit, and I didn't have any big problems with it. I talk about it in the article, but basically I just saw some fraying pretty quick, and I said I just can't I can't trust it. You know, I use a Cigar Invisex right now, and I think this is going to be very comparable to it. And again, like I said, I mean, I work with these guys, and if they'll send me the line for free, I would much rather use this than buy something else if this is good stuff. And I feel like it's going to be up to the par of Cigar Invisex, based on just I tried to scuff it up just with sharp stuff in the house, trying to mess it up. It feels real soft. It's not firm and hard like a lot of cheaper fluorocarbons, and it's got a good diameter. You know, it's comparable within like 0.01 inch or whatever, 0.001 inch of a lot of other lines. And so I think it's going to be a good fluorocarbon, but I'm going to really put it through the test. So anyway, I wanted to get that stuff out because I was excited to see what all I got. I couldn't even remember what I ordered from them a few days ago, and that's how scatterbrained I've been lately with all this kayak stuff. But let's get to cleaning the truck. This right here, I'm good with that. Let's be honest. If my truck looks that good by the end of it on the cab, I'm good. I mean, it's one trashy bottle, little rope, some tie-down straps, a little basket. I mean, you might need any of that, except the bottle. But that's good. And I need to cut the grass. I know. Guys, I see this. I see y'all see this. I see this. I've just been busy, but I'm going to get on it. All right, let's set this over here. Now, I'm going to put it in the power station because the battery's about dead. Wish I could see it right now. It is dead. So I'm going to stop it and put it in here and start back up. So about par for the course, I put my camera on the dash over there and it overheated. So I'm just going to take the card out of it, put it in another hat cam, which will unfortunately be, so there's already a card in here. Probably got some golden footage on here that I forgot about. Anyway, just put the hat cam on, which will probably be unfortunately a better angle anyway when we clean out the truck. But without further ado,
story time with Shay Baker.
We'll just kind of get the trash can and get going here. So, story time. A lot of people ask how I got into the industry. Where, you know, like how, for those of y'all who don't know, I used to cover fishing tournaments. A lot of fishing tournaments. It's hot out here in Alabama. A lot of fishing tournaments. Bassmaster Elite Series, FLW Tour, Bass's Opens, their Bass Nation, college tournaments, a little bit of everything. So people ask me, how do you get into that? Did you do journalism in school? You know, what did you do? And I said, no. There's a 22 bullet. I don't want to throw that in the fire later. I'm probably going to burn most of this. So, anyway. Put that in my pocket. So, they want to know how I got into covering tournaments. And I didn't do journalism in school. I did Spanish International Trade. Okay, completely useless living in Reeltown, Alabama. Let's be honest. But I was dating a foreign exchange student. I was wanting to talk to her and her family, so I was taking a lot of Spanish classes. I was doing engineering. Did an internship for a year and a half. Miserable. Hated it. Hated being inside. That's a great job. Don't get me wrong. I didn't want to be inside all the time. I was doing it as an intern, working 70 or 80 hours a week, and they were paying me overtime and double time. So I was like, if you ever get me on salary, I know it's going to be brutal. You know, they'd kill me. So I was like, I can't do that. I'm not going to do it. So I did Spanish, and then when I bailed on engineering after doing, I passed linear differential equations, physics 1 and 2, chemistry maybe 1 and 2, calculus 1, 2, 3, trig. I pretty much got into my core classes on engineering, and I bailed on it because I just had no desire to be inside all the time, and I didn't really want to move off and work anywhere else. So I'm in college. I got a Spanish International Trade degree I'm working on. Not a lot of future goals as far as working with that. So I was fishing a college fishing tournament. I used to fish college fishing for Auburn, and I was there right when FLW came along and started giving out like $100,000 for first place in the national championship. So I was fishing with a partner, my partner Dennis Parker, in the first national championship ever. I'd actually already qualified for the next year's regional championship with my new partner Jordan Lee Some of y'all know him, two-time classic champ. He and I were partners in college my senior year and his freshman year. So he and I had already won at Okeechobee in a regional qualifier to go into the regional championship to try to make the next year's national championship, which we eventually made and finished third in. But backing up, I'm on the water with my partner Dennis Parker. We led day one of the national championship on Fort Loudon. It was the first one FLW had. Day two, we had a terrible day two, and we faltered, but we still stayed in the top 5. And day 3, it was 1 o'clock. We didn't have a fish in the boat. So Colin Moore, the editor-in-chief for FLW Magazine, was following us at the time, and they were doing live updates on Twitter. Basically, is all they had to work with. So they were doing live updates on there. Again, we ain't got a bite. And I said, Colin, if this fishing thing doesn't work out, I sure could use a job writing. I didn't think anything else about it, and I went to the weigh-in, and we had a good time, and we had a little rally right there at the end of the day. I caught one about 5.5 pounds and a couple 2.5 pounders. And
Justin, there's Dennis Parker on the deck. He's still fishing the scrounger head, but Shea Baker switched to his go-to bait, a jig.
Good fish, great fish, huge fish, Dennis. Huge fish, Dennis. Just keep. Be easy. Be easy. You got it. Yeah.
Nice teamwork there. Parker handling the Fravel net. Digs out a 5-pounder.
Net, bait, baby. A go-to bait. Sucked it in. And you swallowed it. That, my friends, right there is a bass. And we just put ourselves back in contention. A couple more bites like that. That makes it feel good. Makes it feel good.
I think we finished third. Jake Gibson, one of my good buddies, finished first. Him and Matt Rosinski, and then a buddy of mine who passed recently. Terrible deal, but David Cosner, he finished second, I believe, with his partner. And so we had a good time with it. We was on stage, cutting up and having fun. And after the weigh-in, my dad's like, Colin Moore. I said, yeah, it's the editor for the magazine at FLW. He said, well, he wants you to do some writing for him. He had talked to Dad for like an hour at the weigh-in. So I said, awesome, and they gave me a couple of jobs for free, to just contribute to the college section, just some stuff to write and turn in and see what it did. And so I had a couple things published in the college section of FLW magazine. And then they said, well, we got this idea for a series of articles called Pro Lessons. It's where an angler will go out with a writer will go out with an angler and fish with them, and then convey what they learned through the article. So I said, that's awesome. So I got to fish. I drop shot with Tom Mann Jr. on Lake Lanier. I got to frog and flip with Randall Tharp up on Gunnersville. I got to flip punch with JT Kinney down on Kissimmee Chain, I believe it was. It was a blast. So that's how I kind of got into writing. I didn't have any, I just told him I like to write about fishing, and he said, well, all right, cool. And I started writing for him, and had a blast with that. That turned into the next year. I met Rob Newell, working with MLF now. He was working with FLW at the time. I met him through college fishing. He was covering some of our stuff, and we hit it off big time. And he actually, FLW started looking for another camera guy. So still photography on the water and live updates and stuff. So he mentioned me and said, Shea Baker would probably be a good one to do, give a chance. So I got to working with FLW covering tournaments, and I was also running their social media. I was just a kid who knew something about Facebook, and I started running all of FLW's social media at the time because they knew somebody needed to do something with it, So I was running all their social media, and I was shooting on the water pictures and doing a little bit of live updates and a little bit of video every now and then. Had a blast. Got to watch Randall Tharp. That's actually the first story time episode. I'll link it below. I was talking about how Randall Tharp got named the Honey Badger by Rob Newell. And so I was covering all that. Got to watch Tharp catch 100 pounds or whatever it was at Okeechobee. And I learned a lot, watching those guys and fishing with those guys and doing interviews and stuff. But that's kind of how I got started in it. Well, the whole time I was working with FLW, Trip Weldon, the tournament director for bass, his youngest son, Ben Weldon, and I are best friends. And he fished for Alabama, I fished for Auburn, and we did some little local TV shows where we kind of fished against each other. We had a good time, hit it off real good, and we fished against each other all our life growing up. We just never really hung out or anything. But we fish. They're from 30 minutes down the road, so we fished Lake Martin against each other a lot growing up. So he and I hit it off, and Tripp's oldest son and Ben's older brother, Hank Weldon, was running the college section for bass at the time. So Hank had been asking me, you know, come over here and work with us some. And I said, well, I'm pretty busy now, you know. Well, at the end of that year covering FLW's tournaments, they had a few sponsors pull out, and they were trying to do some rearranging, and they said, you know, we just don't have the budget to keep you on. No hard feelings. I said, that's, you know, that's fine. I completely get it. I enjoyed it. And I called up Hank, and he got me an interview with the new digital guy at Bass at the time, and he's still there, Jim Sexton, but he had just come on with the new ownership. So I went to Birmingham, sat down with Jim Sexton, and I said, look, I would like to put GoPros on your boats. I mean, y'all got 6 camera guys, and costs a lot of money. You can't do away with the camera guys. You need that point of view. You need all that dynamic stuff. But if you let me put 6 GoPros on boats, you could double the coverage, you know, double the amount of people getting covered. And he said, well, that's not really a thing. And I said, you know, I get that, but I'm telling you, this was 6 or 7, 8 years ago. I don't know, like probably 2011, 2012, right after college. So he said, well, we got Bass Track. If you want to run Bass Track for us, then you can do that stuff, you know, on the side. You can do whatever you want to when you got a little bit of time. So I was like, cool. So I had one GoPro. I had my GoPro. And I went to my first tournament with him. I met James Overstreet, hung out with him, had a blast. Uncle James, I call him now, a great dude. He's a mentor. He was a rock for me when I was on the road. Part of the family kind of deal. You know, you end up really, really tight with a few people when you're on the road that much, and he's one of them. But I'll talk more about Uncle James in another story sometime. Got to hang out with him. I took my GoPro and put it on Terry Scroggins' boat. After, I actually weren't doing Bass Track. I think we were just testing Bass Track there for the Classic is what it was. So I put a GoPro on Terry Scroggins' boat, and he went all the way down from Toho into Kissimmee and locked, I don't know, 2 or 3 times, long runs down these little canals and stuff. And I did a time lapse, and they loved it. It was awesome. Everybody was excited about it. So Bass gave me their credit card and said, all right, go to Best Buy and buy another GoPro. So I went to Best Buy and bought another GoPro. So then I had 2 GoPros, mine and theirs. The next tournament I worked was the Classic. So that Classic, I did a little bit of stuff with the GoPros, and then the next, you know, the following year, a lot of stuff happened. But 1 calendar year later, GoPro had come on as a title sponsor of the Classic, and they had given us 100 GoPros as part of the sponsorship, and they wanted a GoPro on every boat during the Classic, which was like something like 60 boats, and I had some guys from a local college help me out there, and I just fell into place perfect timing, because there was guys like Brandon Polnick and Gerald Swindle, Kevin Van Dam, Brent Ayler, different guys trying to talk to GoPro already through Mark Jones, and try to set it all up and make all of it happen, and then people inside the company at Bass were trying to talk to, you know, people in the marketing team were trying to talk to GoPro, and I just happened to fall in place and be the guy putting them on the boats and going through the footage. So it was great, you know, had a blast, ended up, you know, basically shooting pictures, writing stories. I got off a Bass Track after a while just because I was so busy and somebody else took that over, but I did just about anything and everything else. What's up, Sam? Stay back. Sammy come around the corner on us. But had a blast, you know, had a ball. You want to go inside? Let's go inside. I don't need you sniffing the yellow tape. All right, so I'm supposed to be cleaning my truck. I got sidetracked. Supposed to be cleaning the truck. But anyway, had a blast with it. That's how I got into covering tournaments, you know. I did that for, that's still good there. I'm actually a little thirsty. Had fun with it. Covered tournaments for, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 years pretty hard. You know, was on the road way too much, and it got to just be too much. I was on the road like 225 days a year there towards the end, trying to make enough money to justify being gone that much, and to make more money, you got to be gone more. So that was just a tipping point where I couldn't do it anymore. But I started uploading. We'll talk about that some other time too. But I started my own company, and yeah, so that's how I got into tournament fishing. I mean, tournament coverage. And for anybody out there, like I said, a lot of people, that's one of the questions I get is, how did you start covering tournaments? And yeah, I just happened to do it. You know, it happened through college fishing. A lot of the stuff I did and I've done in my career started with college fishing. So now high school fishing too is a big deal. So I would say start there if you're in high school or college, just join a team and get inside that world, and there's no telling which way you'll go inside of it. But if you get out there and catch a few fish, you know, who knows? And even if you don't catch them, you know, you're not that good, you still get out there and you're around the whole industry, you're around the people that are making moves and doing things, and you can find your place in it. But high school fishing, college fishing, kayak fishing, I mean, just get out there and get in some kind of group and you'll find your way. And I still haven't found my, I mean, I'm big into this kayak deal all of a sudden, you know. I still don't know exactly what I'm gonna do. I just move around a bunch, and I find my place for a season in life, and then do something else. But it's always around fishing, and it all stemmed from, well, before all of that, you know, my dad taking me fishing all my life, but really, it really all accelerated and turned into a career through college fishing, because they didn't have high school fishing back then. So anyway, long story short, that's how I got into covering tournaments. Hope y'all enjoyed story time. I actually do have to clean the truck now, because I got one floorboard not even cleaned up, let's be honest. This may be as far as I go. I'm not even that into it anymore. I thought this was going to be something I could do at the same time. It wasn't. I got sidetracked. Y'all have a good one. Talk to y'all later. Alright, all you trash affiliates, you OCDers, I got it cleaned out. I even vacuumed it a little bit up front. Not a lot of bit, just a little bit. I didn't armor all anything. Y'all settle down, alright? I'm trying to get you to watch videos. I'm not trying to go on a date with you. But yeah, I got it cleaned up. I just got my tackle box, a couple rods left. So yeah, finally got the truck cleaned up a little bit. Now get off my back. This next part's my favorite part. Do the two-step. Get it. Something another. So this is my favorite part of cleaning up. This is why I like to live in the country. I can shoot my guns. I can burn my trash. I can roll my tide. You know what I mean? No, there's my non-waterproof letters that were completely useless, that I did old teacup up with at McDonald's. Alright, so yeah, I admit my truck was dirty. I apologize. Hope y'all can forgive me. All this was in my truck. It's all gone now, okay? So, I'll be cleaner from now on. In my defense, the green bean can box was not in my truck. I got that from the house on the way out. But I probably shouldn't be standing here smelling this. So, Shay Baker, signing off. Y'all don't hear from me for a while. I inhaled too much plastic. Right in my face.